Bonsoir, everyone. It is Sunday night. This is Sue with Retiring to France on a Shoestring. And you may have noticed that I have changed the name of my YouTube channel ever so slightly to put my name in the title, because when I've been responding to people, I have been having to put my name in parentheses all the time, and I realized that was probably kind of silly, especially since I'm not a big channel by any remote stretch of the imagination at this point in time, and probably never will be. So I figured it's just easier to do that. I am coming to you in the evening. It is finally a little bit cooler here. Again, Central Texas, we don't really see temperatures drop below the 90s for at least another couple of weeks. And I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to that because I'm over it. At this point of the summer, which isn't even summer anymore, I think all of us are kind of over it. But at the same time, it's a little bittersweet for me because this is the last September that I will be spending in Texas. And so from this point on, everything is going to be a last month. And that's both, again, a little bit bittersweet, but also very exciting. I am very much looking forward to making the move to France. This video is the final and fourth video in the series I have created about all the different places that I will be going to in France in February to scout locations for a place to move. This video starts out in Pau, in the very southwest of France, in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region, and takes us up a little bit close to Bordeaux. There are only 5 more days in the trip at this point, and I will be winding down the extensive travel and spending a lot more time in the areas in between these towns. On day 10, again, starting from Pau, then going almost directly north to the Languedoc region, which is southeast of Bordeaux, out in the country. We'll spend this day mostly exploring with not too much driving. I think in total it's probably going to be about 3.5 hours of door-to-door driving. But I'm very excited for where we will be spending the night. We will not be spending it in the town. We will be spending it east of the town in this adorable place called Castes et Castillons. Hopefully I said that right. And our Airbnb is directly on the canal. So that should be a real treat. Yes, it's going to be cold, right? It's February, but I think it still will be pretty awesome. The next morning, we have another leisurely day of travel. And we will start out heading a little bit southeast and then turning northeast to visit some towns, including Saint-Béget, Imay, Bergerac, and then ending in this lovely gîte in a town called Les Buissons de Cadouin. And that, I think, will be one of the big highlights of the places that we're going to be staying. Most of these places are Airbnbs. As I mentioned way long ago, I think in the first video in this series, we have 1 or 2 that I booked on booking.com. But this is the one true gîte that I am so excited to see because it's on a working farm. And yes, again, it's going to be the chilly time of year, but I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful in wintertime. Day 12. We will be leaving this beautiful area. We will be heading a little bit southwest, curling around Agen, and then back southeast to Montauban. So we're almost at the end of the trip at this point in time. Day 13, we will be leaving Montauban and heading directly south to the Toulouse area. We will be spending the last night of our driving trip in Blagnac, which is directly west of Toulouse, and spending most of the next day exploring this area. Finally, on day 14, we will be heading from Toulouse back up to Paris. At this point in time, it looks like we're probably going to have to fly, which is not really that big of a deal. And I'm conflicted about it because I would prefer to take the train, and so would my traveling companion, to just be able to sit there and drink in all the scenery on the high-speed train. However, when we booked the trip, we weren't really thinking about the French school holidays, and it is virtually impossible to get a train ticket from Toulouse to Paris on any of the 4 days that we thought we might want to do that. We can get one with a reseller for something like 240 or 270 euros. But the normal price for this trip is under 40 euros, so we will not be doing that. For less than 40 euros, probably closer to 19 or 20, we will be able to take a commuter flight up to Orly in Paris. And so that will also give us more time to spend in the Toulouse area and not have to worry about getting up early to catch a train and then spending all day traveling once again. That last night in Paris, we do have an Airbnb that is probably about, I want to say maybe half an hour at most Uber trip from Charles de Gaulle Airport. But we do want to get into Paris early enough in the afternoon to be able to explore the Air Museum, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from our Airbnb. On day 15, we will wake up in the morning. We will have to go immediately to the airport, and then the trip is over. And I expect that it's going to be very difficult to catch some napping or shut-eye on the plane, because my head will just be swirling with so many memories and so many thoughts about where I want to live, where I want to explore further if I need to, and then starting to get in touch with people in these areas to see what might be open for long-term rental. Now, originally, I was planning on moving in the May to June, maybe July at the latest time frame. But I realized that's going to coincide not just with the summertime in general, when a lot of people are going to be taking vacations, especially from other countries going into France. But since August is the month of the national holiday in France for most people, it's going to make it more difficult for me to get a long-term rental if I want something at the beginning of the summer. And if I move there in September, it's going to be a lot easier to get something from 3, 6, or 9 months all the way up until the next summer season. And I think that's probably the smartest thing to do. And this is a wrap for the travelogue videos for my scouting trip in February. I really do appreciate all of you who like and subscribe and have sent me private messages. It really means a lot. It's an exciting time, but also a little bit scary, and so it's fun to have you along with me for this journey and to hopefully stick around to see how it ends up. If you are so inclined, I'd love it if you would like or subscribe. And until I see you next time, bonjour, bonsoir, or bonne nuit, and see you on the back end. Au revoir.